So we're going to talk about attraction today. Kind of going a little deeper based on what Future was talking about. First thing I want to talk about, boom. All right. So when we talk about attraction, it's not an alien skill. It's not something that you have to learn completely from scratch, right? I want to go first with this is a top hat, goggle-free zone here. No black fingernails necessarily, no goggles, no top hats are needed to get girls attracted to you. I don't think that that is necessarily the most helpful way for the average guy to try and get attraction. It is effective if you are a magician and things like that, and it's actually part of your identity. But we can use tools and skills that we already have to get girls attracted to us, okay? For the most part, gimmicks are bullshit. Like, you don't really need a ton of gimmicky stuff. It's just taking what already exists, social skills you already have, and applying them the right way, all right? And we're going to go into how to do that. Attraction in a lot of ways is kind of like befriending guys. It's really, most of you have friends, most of you are socially capable. What you can do if you want to befriend guys, basically, this is like the guy attraction formula, maybe we could call it. If you tell funny or intelligent stories and have funny or intelligent responses, and you're interested in them, typically you'll befriend a guy, right? And it's a similar model to what you would do with women. You're going to provide value and find common ground, right? When you provide value, someone will be drawn to you, right? We only want to be with people who are of equal or higher value than us, typically. It's a kind of cruel fact of the world, but if a homeless guy comes up to you, right? He's like, hey, what's up, man? What are you doing today? You're going to be like, nothing, later, right? You may be nice to him and polite. You don't have to be a dick, but you're still not going to feel drawn to befriend this guy. Whereas if you're out and you're hanging out and fucking Brad Pitt's at the table next to you and he starts talking, you'd be like, wow, I just talked to Brad Pitt. That's cool, right? That's just how it is, right? That's how we are. So we want to provide value in our interactions. So this is really, if you're going to talk about what's the formula for attraction, it's demonstrate value, which a lot of us know, disarm resistance with disqualification, right? And then build sexual tension. It's pretty simple, right? So now we're going to talk about how to do that. All right, so providing value. Savoy talks about in Magic Bullets the value switches, and we'll go over these. Their health, these are things you should be aware of, and then we'll focus on two, which is humor and social intuition. Health is basically what you look like. Women are attracted, let's face it, looks matter. It does matter. Anybody who tells you it doesn't is lying to you. But the good news is it's not all that matters, and it doesn't, there's a lot of ways you can fix it by changing the way you dress and the way you sort of groom yourself. A man can go from being a 4 or a 5 to a 7.5 by dressing cool pretty quickly. Like, it's pretty amazing. Like, there was a kid I had in high school, he had really bad acne, but he won best dressed at end of senior year, and he was always getting laid. Like, he always got laid. He never let it get to him, right? He dressed super sharp, and he got girls. He overcame this thing that was sort of could have been a crippling thing for him. What you look like is basically a teller of your genetic fitness in a lot of ways. So there's an unconscious thing there. The thing for women is but women are attuned as much to social strength as they are to physical strength and genetic fitness, right? Because in the world, our social abilities are going to determine whether they and their offspring are going to survive, right? I have a theory that's why women gossip, right? In sort of village situations, women were powerless to men. So they're always sort of aware of what's going on with other women, whose relationships are to who, because if they're on the wrong side of something, they're fucked. So and that instinct is still there, I think, in a lot of ways. They're very socially attuned. So you can have social value and not necessarily as much physical value, right? So if you don't have the looks, you can make up for it with social strength. And that gets into like humor and social intuition. Humor is obviously fun to be around because it makes you feel good, right? It's fun to laugh and all that stuff. But there's a deeper thing that if you're funny, you're generally smart, you're creative, you're resourceful, right? There's a lot of other things that go into being funny other than just the silliness of it, right? It's actually a pretty deep look into someone's psyche if they're capable of being funny. And people who aren't funny tend to maybe be very smart, but they're missing out on maybe some social abilities and things like that.